Pledge allegiance, a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag. To the republic and one nation under God, indivisible, with justice. Thank you. We have two amendments this evening for two announcements to be added to the announcements from the town planner and one for Pearson Road.
Second motion for the amendment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The public participation applies to the selectmen meetings. A copy of this is in the back of each agenda, posted outside this meeting room and on the website. The town clerk's office will be closed on Thursday, September 19th, 2024. The staff will be attending the tax collector's 85th annual fall conference. The office will reopen on Monday, September 23rd, 2024. The town clerk tax collector's office will be closed Tuesday, September 10th, 2024 for the state primary election that will be held at the Prospect Mountain High School from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and will reopen again on Wednesday, September 11th, 2024 at 12 noon. Okay, we have an announcement from a town planner, Jessica Call. Please come up, Jessica.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for entertaining me tonight. So first off,
I want to. Car accident.
Chief, could you ask them to keep that down, please?
so first off, as an employee of the town of Alphen, I'd like to thank you all for your support, including Ryan. With your support, as you all well know, I was hired as the town planner in 2019, with being the planning secretary 3 years prior to that. So it's through your support I've been able to grow professionally and personally. And this is the reason why I'm before you tonight. I'd like to share some news with you. I have a new appointment. So through an application process, I was nominated by Governor Sununu on August 8th. And my appointment was confirmed by the Executive Council to be the next public member on the Board of Land Surveyors, which is overseen by the Office of the State's Professional Licensure and Certification. So with that said, meetings are held during the day. The schedule appears that it's only once a month and they don't meet every month. So it may be just a handful of times that I may have to appear in Concord. I attend several meetings monthly here at work, so I have plenty of meeting time that I could use. And the meetings aren't all day, so I could come back at the end of a few-hour-long meeting and work the rest of my day. So the things that the Board of Land Surveyors oversees are things like making sure that surveyors take their exams, they approve licenses, and they also address complaints. This wasn't something that I really sought out. It landed across my lap, and I'm always under the impression that I got this line from one of my kids' movies: if you see a need, fill a need. I feel like I'm a good fit for that. And I just wanted to share that with you.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck with everything. Okay, the selectmen have an announcement this evening. We have decided to withdraw from the Pearson Road Senior Center for the swap shop due to the overabundance of dislike of the location. Again, this was only a suggestion. This will be further elaborated on in old business. Okay, at this time, we open up to 3 minutes.
Emails.
We open it up to 3 minutes for per person on agenda items only.
That was.
Okay,
Read it online. I know what you're all here for.
yep. We asked for a response. We got it.
Mhm.
This is it on, correct?
Correct.
I'm
Keep
going
going.
to pull it closer and hopefully not talk with my hands too much. Thank you for this opportunity. I will be way under 3 minutes. I am just going to read a few lines from the information I submitted into the box on 9/3. So I hope you have had the opportunity
Would
to
you
read
also
it.
give us your name, please?
Certainly, Jill
For the record.
Halder. 3 points I'd like to make. One is solid waste disposal is the primary purpose of the transfer station. The swap shop absolutely performs that function. Objects are redirected from the solid waste stream and taken away at no cost to the town by happy residents. A swap shop has been and can be an integral part of Alton's solid waste disposal system. With Trudy's closing in the near future, it is likely that the amount of solid waste heading to the transfer station will increase, and the opportunity for local residents to obtain inexpensive household items will decrease. I know there's a footnote relative to no cost to the town, but I think probably the most cost for reestablishing it, once it was established, would be perhaps 1 hour of one person's time at the end of the 2 days to move any inappropriate objects to a disposal area if the volunteers were not able to do that. The second point, and this has been hanging for a while, if there are funds set aside that could be used for the transfer station building and site work, and access to and from it, it seems like a win-win. I hope the answer to this question, are there any funds available currently, whether it's from a revolving fund for the capital improvements of the solid waste transfer station, a warrant article, or some other source? We have not had any definite answer yet as the public. So I think we would like to know where we stand relative to available funding. And then third, another benefit of the swap shop is providing financial relief to lower incomes of Alton. Based on 2023 data, 11.3% of residents 65 years of age and older are at or below the poverty level in Alton. That represents $15,000 a year as income, or $1,250 a month to live on before taxes. That's net. So there are residents in town that could benefit from being able to get no-cost items for their home. In the 2023-24 school year, 14.83% of the students at Alton Central School qualified for free or reduced lunch. So there is a need for low-cost games, items, books, etc. in Alton, and I think this could help address that. Alton boasts many second homes, lakeside residences, and lovely, that's it. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
If you want to.
It's open to public input right now if you'd like to get up.
I'm Robin Masteller, and I don't really have a comment. I have a question. Can you explain to us what are the next steps?
Will.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anne Marie Chevalet. Thank you for withdrawing from the Pearson Road. That's fantastic. But to still address the swap shop, because I know that there is, like she was saying, instead of just tabling the whole thing, just some ideas that I had. While all of us as residents pay our sticker for the dump, it's relatively cheap. It's $1 a year. It might go up to $2 a year. Put the swap shop back at the transfer station. And how about increasing it to $10 a year? Wolfboro charges $10 a year. I actually think they're up to $20 a year. I don't think anybody in town would have a problem with $10, $20 a year for their dump sticker. That money can go towards funding, having something there. And as far as an insurance nightmare, I'm sure it is. People go skydiving, they sign waivers. When you go buy your dump sticker, have the waivers there, sign them. You're there at your own risk. It's a win-win for everybody. That's it. Just some ideas.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, we're good. Couple.
Brenna?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Myrna Knight. First of all, I want to thank you for putting the time and effort in for this. Really appreciate it, okay? I think the senior center would be a very bad location. A lot of people would have trouble getting on to 28, could cause a lot of accidents. Coming down by Ruth Ann's store is a disaster too. A lot of people are not going to make 2 trips, one to the landfill and one to get rid of the other stuff. And I would like to suggest to you, as a volunteer that worked there, that you put a building up there, then take 2 containers, like they have down with the tin cans and the bottles, one for metal and one for trash. The boys with the bobcats could come and take care of it. The staff never had to help us up there. We always took care of stuff. If there was something to be lifted, somebody else would help them lift it or it'd be gone. The only time the staff helped us was when they cleaned up on Monday and when they closed and when they locked the door. That was the only time we had to use the staff. And the other thing is, you're not going to take your little child down to the dump and tell them, no, there's no swap shop. There's no place to get a toy. We got to go to the senior center. That don't make sense. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense for anybody. I think that what you're doing is great, but I think, like she said, time to put the stickers up, pay for the building, get you guys back on something else that you'd rather be working on. Also, Saturday, I was at the landfill getting rid of my trash. Lady come up there, she had the back end of a car full. Here's a big handful, fishing poles with a little reel on them. She was going to put them in the hopper. Man says, don't do that, I'll take them, I'll take them. She's like, I got some other stuff. He took the other stuff. She came to me, she said, I've got these linens, do you want them? And I said, no, I have no use for them. But I thank you. She said, well, I guess I'm gonna have to make a trip down to the Goodwill. She wouldn't have had to do that had we had the shop. So I trust, you know, that you can help us out, help out the little kids that are being deprived. They come in there, it's not a new toy, but it's new to them. And they teach them, you bring up something to yours and you can get something else. That's what we need for this community. So I'm trusting you guys to bail us out. That's what we need and take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kelly Sullivan. I just really want to thank the public for sticking around and staying in the room once they said that the proposal of the senior center was withdrawn. And it shows that the community still does care about the senior center and not just that it was not or going to be at the senior center. So thanks, public.
You'll hear me.
You probably just need to pull it back towards the, just pull it in towards. There you go.
So I just wanted to say Bonnie Dodge. So I wanted to say that I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that this is happening. I'm thrilled there are so many people here in support. And I look forward to it so much. And here's the thing, you don't need this, but I truly invite every one of you to come to the swap shop on a Saturday morning and see what really occurs there. It's not just, oh, picking up this, dropping off that. Especially like someone else said, the kids, when you can say to your kids, you want that? Sure. It's like I can't describe it because you can't know unless you see it. But anyway, I look forward to volunteering again, and I'm just feeling so positive. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joan Blackwood, thank you. Next, everybody that's here, think about volunteering at the swap shop. That's it. Ruth Larson. I want to say that I learned something tonight, which I didn't know, which is that you, based on the fact that you made your announcement before anyone had spoken to their opinions tonight, you obviously read your emails. So thank you for pulling out the rug from under us, all of us who plan to argue against the senior center location. And thank you for your decision.
My name is Hunter Taylor, and I want to thank board members for what you did tonight. I mean, you obviously studied the public reaction and you reacted to it, and it's very much appreciated. Now, let me just share a thought or two with you. I spent roughly 22 years of my life sitting on boards, local boards like this one. I can sympathize with you. And there was many an unpleasant occurrence. And usually it was a divided community. And you knew that you were going to make somebody mad, no matter which way you went. But you guys have got, I think, a real fortunate situation here. There is a sense of community in Alton about our swap shop. I think we've all, I moved here in 2010. I grew to love it within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. One of my least favorite son-in-laws was kind enough to move a lot of our stuff up here, and included were our plates. Didn't do a real good job of loading the truck. And somehow that fell off the top of the stack and the plates were gone. My wife and I we heard about the swap shop, went to the swap shop. We got a very nice set of plates. That was going to hold us over until we got something else. We used those for 6 years. And when we were done, we took them back. I looked about 3 weeks later, they were gone. I mean, that swap shop has served this community. And I hope that you all realize that you got an easy decision. I mean, this swap shop is part of the community, and hopefully you guys will keep it as part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other input? Okay, seeing none. We have no appointments this evening.
No.
New business. Fire Department dry hydrant installation requests. Keith?
Good evening.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chairman, members of the board. I believe you have received a request of my formal request to utilize $1,619.01 out of the Town of Alton's dry hydrant installation and repair fund for the installation of a dry hydrant up on Sunset Lake Dam area. Currently, the Dam Bureau for the state is replacing the dam up there. They made significant improvements to the access to the dam. They are in agreement. If we supply the materials, they will install the dry hydrant free of charge for the town. I think pretty simple. I'm learning quickly that we have an abundance of water here in the town of Alton, but it's very difficult for fire apparatus to get in there for fire suppression means. I'm looking for just approval or questions or anything before that.
No, I think it's a great idea. And with the help of the installation and just supplying them with the material, I think it's a good idea.
I do too.
We have a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the $1,619.01. What do they call it? The estimate for installation of a dry hydrant coming out of the, what's it? The dry hydrant.
Installation.
There we go. Repair fund.
Installation repair fund.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Good,
you.
Chief.
All right, have a
Sounds like a
great
good
night.
idea. Thank you. That was good. Okay, Conservation Commission, Conservation Fund projects.
We have the chair. Way up.
Yeah.
Hey, doing, Gene?
Good evening, gentlemen. Gene Young, representing Conservation Commission.
Good evening.
We have two conservation projects that have been a long time in coming to fruition, and they just happen to reach it at the same time. So we are asking for two withdrawals from the Conservation Fund at this time. The first one is to help defray the acquisition costs for a conservation easement on 56 acres of land on Halls Hill Road, a place called Moonberry Farm, owned by the Moonberry Hill Trust, Earl Bagley trustee. And we're asking for the amount of $5,000 for that withdrawal. And we've supplied you with background information on that. You have any questions about the project?
Okay. So the total estimate of the cost of the project is $794,000.
No, this is Moonberry. This is, I think you're looking at the mine out.
Not sure we have Moonberry in our package.
We don't have it in our package. This is the other.
I'm sorry, I did forward both of them, but
No, we only have this other one here for the land purchase.
okay, well, I can, I'd be happy to. This is the only copy I have with me.
So this is this the parcel though? That is so the only thing we have is the. Oh, so we'll fill that.
The very first page.
But the information.
Yeah,
through.
that didn't come through, no. So
This is-
this is the parcel of Moonberry.
That's pretty much the parcel. What you're looking at is a track that, when we walked the parcel earlier in the summer. It's 56 acres. It fronts on Halls Hill Road. It encompasses the headwaters of Coffin Brook as it happens. It's about half open and about half timbered property. And Mr. Bagley is donating an easement on that property to the Lakes Region Conservation Trust. And as it happens that in the world of conservation, it costs money to give something away. And that's because that these properties have to be surveyed.
Mhm.
They have to be appraised because there are tax consequences. The gentleman will get a tax deduction for the value of the donation. So that has to be appraised so that value is accurate. And the Conservation Trust is taking on the perpetual obligation of enforcing that trust. So there are costs associated, and we're donating $5,000 to help defray those costs to Mr. Bagley.
Okay. And you're looking for permission to expend
Correct.
the $5,000 for this project?
Yes, sir.
And that's coming from just to
That will
clarify.
be coming from the Conservation
Conservation.
Fund, and our next step will be to hold a public hearing. And at which time we'll then make a final decision on the withdrawal.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we authorize the Conservation Commission to expend $5,000 from their Conservation Trust Fund to enable us to take advantage of the offer for a conservation easement on Moonberry Farm. What?
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We just,
Thank you.
we just work with Stacy to set up for a public hearing date. We can post
We'll
it.
be meeting on the 12th and we'll get that set up.
What's that?
We'll be meeting on the 12th and we'll get that
Get that
set
set
up
up.
immediately.
Okay, Conservation Commission is gonna take.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, the next one is the Minelt property, which is off of Davis Road, 375 acres. The New Hampshire Society for the Protection of Forests is purchasing this property for conservation. It abuts the current Morse Preserve. And also, I believe, no, it doesn't abut the state forest, but it does abut a lot that was donated by Dana Freeze. So it's contiguous to the Morse Preserve, makes that entire complex of parcels almost 1,000 acres of conserved land. Interesting thing about this property is that the sort of northern end of it actually encompasses some of the tributary or contributing landscape to the land aquifer from which Alton draws its water for the village. So we're protecting not only the upper reaches of Frohawk Brook, but we're also helping to protect Alton's water source. Now, for this project, we would like to donate $75,000 towards that acquisition. It's approximately $693,000 purchase. So we feel that for relatively small portion of that purchase, $75,000, we're getting 375 acres of pretty important land to the town of Alton conserved. And I believe you have the maps and things in your packets on this one.
That's quite the addition.
It is.
That'll be, that's good size, over
It's beautiful.
1,065.
Beautiful forest. It's been managed very well for about the last 40 years almost by the same forester. They've done very careful and selective logging on that forest. It's a very healthy and very well managed forest.
Okay, again, you're taking
$75,000 from the
$75,000
Conservation Fund.
Conservation. What is the balance? Do you know the current balance?
Prior to these withdrawals, it's approximately $500,000.
Okay, questions?
The other sources of funds that are listed here, Gene, they all say application submitted. Is that pretty much a slam dunk, or are they at risk? Well, with what the Forest Society is doing, they're applying for an LCHIP grant. And they're pretty successful with those, but they're not slam dunks. The other one, they're also applying for a grant. I don't see it here right off the bat, but it's a grant for water quality. And that's due to the fact that it's on the upper reaches of the aquifer. So there are those two grants that they'll be applying for, and they probably will be looking for, there'll be a fund drive, I'm sure, associated with this one as well. Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we allow a $75,000 purchase from the Conservation Commission revolving account to purchase, well, to put it towards the property on the corner of Davis Road and Avery Hill Road.
For the sum of,
Oh, for this, I'm sorry, for the sum of $693,000 with 75,000 coming out of the account.
have a second?
One second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, just qualify that purchase. That's kind of like there's other costs that end up finishing that up. The final cost is estimated to be $794,877.
So amend it to the 794,877 total cost.
Okay, and we have a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank
you,
you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Screen.
Okay, town clerk, tax collector, tax deeding.
Mr. Chairman, this is more of a, based on the memo from the tax collector. A heads up for the board with the impending date of September 24th, in case there was any questions proceeding or leading up to.
Okay, does this require a motion? Or
No.
a vote? Just,
No.
is just more or less, okay,
Yeah, informational purposes.
Okay. Thank you.
This is just currently where it stands.
Okay,
There may be some
yeah.
changes before then, but there may not be a
Which,
lot.
which would not be a lot, but it would come back to us.
It will be come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's because at the final point, when this information comes back to the board for the final tax deeding, we will have to make an individual decision on each property, the circumstances as to whether to deed or not to. So having this information ahead of time, obviously the tax collector felt it would be beneficial so that some research and homework could be done on the part of the board members as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any idea of the time frame, Ryan, before that would come up?
September 24th.
We don't have long.
Right on.
Yep. That's when it comes back. It's gonna come back at our meeting in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, old business. Swap shop discussion. I'd like to open this up on a discussion. First of all, I'd like to state for the record that the suggestion for the Pearson Road facility, senior place, was solely by me. I don't want the rest of the selectmen to get any heat for it or anything for it. It was a suggestion by me, and it was a suggestion solely based on having a clean environment, clean, nice restrooms for the volunteers, easy access in and out without dealing with the rest of the transfer station. It was a thought of trying to make it ease and convenience. And I'm pleased that we had the response we had, that everybody responded, this is what we need in town for people to get involved and tell us what you do like and what you don't like. And again, this was a suggestion. It wasn't written in concrete. It was only out of trying to make it more convenient for the citizens. That was it. So that being said, I'd like to propose that we have the DPW grade the area that Mr. Shea and Mr. Carter thought of at the transfer station. Grade the area, bring in gravel, level it out, reuse the old Conex box that we had, put it in place on the level ground, put up temporary fencing, which would be barricade fencing, the orange roll fencing with stakes to indicate the driveway to go in and out with proper signage and arrows to go in and out of the facility. I also propose in this to also have a full list of volunteers. So the town has the list of volunteers, who will be there, who will not be there. And sign a waiver of liability to the town. The porta potty would be used as the one that is there now. Be no electricity, no cameras, because at this time, we don't have the funds, and we don't have the funds right now for a building. And this would, in my opinion, should be a 6-month trial to open it up. I don't know, and is there any other discussion from any of the selectmen if this is acceptable?
Yeah, I had a question. I just see the letter from our attorney here that regarding the availability of funds. And he spells out that use of the money from the recycling revolving fund would not be advisable. The fund that we had originally discussed, and maybe I'm confused on this, was the capital improvement fund for the landfill area, which I think has well over $100,000 in it and was originally passed in 2003. But am I off track there, Ryan? You'd know better than anybody else. But
So what I was specifically asked, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'd like to address it because there were some comments made for the information that when it was originally asked whether there was funding available for the swap shop, it was answered immediately. It was answered by the finance manager and it was answered by myself. The issue right now is they wanted to challenge it further to get a legal opinion on it. That was brought up at the last meeting that we had in the discussion. That was specifically to the recycling revolving fund. And the revolving fund, as it states, it's revolving, it takes money in. And that's what I brought and proposed to the lawyer's office, and he responded in writing, stating the same statutes that were provided in writing. And the issue is that recyclable means under the state definition that it means materials that can be used to produce marketable goods. And that's where his opinion was that it does not meet the definition to be able to fund a swap shop after that. The other thing that I just would like for the benefit of the audience and the public that are listening, funds, the question was, are there funds available? So the answer to that question is there are no funds allocated. We have line item budgets. There is no funds allocated for a swap shop because we didn't have one for the last few years. So there's no line item in a budget. So what it boils down to, or what it comes down to, is somebody making a directive that we pull funding from somewhere else. So that's the black and white answer to, is there funding for a swap shop? There's no designated funding. The legislative body, which is the people at vote, when they vote on the operating budget, it's a line item budget. We list, we have money for Levy Park, we have money for docks, we have money for specified items. The swap shop is not included in that. So we would have to pull money out of the operating budget under another designated area. And that would just be a discretionary decision at that point in time. But it would have to come from some other area that those funds are designated for.
But the capital improvement fund that I think is entitled Buildings and Improvement to the Recycling Center, would that not be fair game?
That information, so the definition, so this was the information that was provided in that original packet. And in 2005, so originally, in 1993, there was a fund that was established. It was changed to the landfill closure fund, which that was specific to landfill closure. Article 18 in 2005 was established and $10,000 was put in it. And it states, these are the minutes from the meeting that I'm looking at, states that Scott Simon stated that the capital reserve fund will be set up for the future growth of the facility, as well as meeting the federal EPA stormwater plan. So that was what was defined to the legislative body again at town meeting. At that point in time, we weren't SB2, it was a regular town meeting. And that's what was presented on the floor for the voters to vote on. So You know, really what it comes down to is it specifies the growth of the facility. And I don't know whether or not the board decides, I guess that would have to be a decision, whether it was challenged or not by DRA. Does that constitute growth of the facility? A swap shop? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that that could be argued,
Next year,
certainly. But getting back to the proposal that was made, you know, but Chairman, I think that it sounds like this is a great first step in determining, you know, is this terrific interest in participation that we're seeing here tonight, is this going to keep going? These things tend to fizzle out after the passion wears off. So I think that it's a great idea that we at least get something in place, get it going. Maybe, you know, if you feel strongly that you want a nice building down there, you want power down there, by all means, put together a warrant article and get it before this board so that we can get it out to the voters. And maybe next year you get the upgrades. I don't know, but I think that this is a smaller expense on behalf of the town, you know, the gravels, the time, the fencing, and it gets us there, you know, at least gets that shop up and operational.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you guys. It's the cheapest way in the default budget to get the door open and at least get something started.
This gets it rolling.
Yep.
This gets it open and this gets it rolling.
Well, I'd rather use the funds that I think we've identified as perfectly usable. But I'm not going to oppose this because I wouldn't get out of here alive, so.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. All right. Okay, selectmen report.
First time we got applause.
I have nothing to report. Hopefully we will be having a budget meeting soon.
16th, right?
That's the rumor I've been hearing.
Monday. That's what's supposed to be scheduled. I
Good.
mean, it's scheduled. We just need to make sure everybody gets
Happens.
there.
Yes.
Okay, Dick,
Yeah, our next hazardous waste effort will be in Alton, and I believe it's on Saturday, the 21st. And it'll be right in the same neighborhood as the soon to occur new swap shop. So if anybody has got any hazardous waste, bring them along and you can see the site. The Milfoil Committee is pretty much wrapped up its work. We've established the framework for a budget for next year, which is going to require less funding than this year's, which is nice. And about the only expense we have left that we expect is a follow-up inspection. So this has been a good year for the Milfoil Group.
And I have nothing. We've had some cancellations and reschedules and stuff like that, and we don't have anything at this time.
Me too. We had a cancellation too.
okay. All right, I have nothing at this time. Town administrators report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I only have a few things. A couple are just announcements. So just a reminder that Mount Major will have their ribbon cutting ceremony on Thursday. At 11 o'clock is a ribbon cutting. For any of the board members, we were all invited to attend if we could. So we will have representation there. I will be there along with I believe either Stacy or Laura will be going from the town as well. Any board members that are able to attend, most definitely welcome. The other announcement is that 319 grant, that's the stormwater management grant that we have been applying for to manage the stormwater through the Conservation Commission. In conjunction, Ty and Bond, Dana Huff, one of the local residents and retired from Ty and Bond, has been assisting in the lead with that over the last few years. It's a competitive grant. And what that grant is designed specifically for those of you that weren't familiar with it, is it's a competitive grant with DES to help manage the stormwater that is affecting, what's that? Mill Pond, that's it. I couldn't think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Mill Pond. So with the water coming off the roadway, coming down the hill on 140, there's an issue of what the sand and salt and everything running in to the pond there. And this grant provides for some management features like level spreaders, areas to treat stormwater and runoff so that it doesn't reach the pond and further contaminate it. Again, it is competitive. We've done it 2 years in a row. We were not successful. We're continuing, persevering, but they are tweaking the application a little bit so that we can become more competitive.
Good.
So that has been the initial preliminary application has been completed and will go out. It was sent out this morning. So, and then the only other thing I wanted to mention is we are making progress with budget presentations. I've met with just about every department head. I have the clerk's office I gave till after the primary because they're pretty focused with elections right now. With that said, I looked at the schedule for the board and we have a stacked week next week in this room, almost every single night next week. I was going to try to get a workshop in, but we have so many committees meeting between budget committee. We're booked every night this week with the ZAC committee, with everything else. Planning board's got a meeting too next week. So that puts us back out to next week, which is Tuesday. We have a regular meeting anyways. So if the board is okay with it, I will plan to schedule as many of the budgets as I can, smaller ones on our meeting night. In the new business, we'll do budget presentations. I'll split them up, try to do it appropriately so we don't end up here until midnight. But and then hopefully on Tuesday's meeting, I can come back to you with another, maybe a possible workshop date to get the rest of the budgets in. Because I know we're eager to get all that information in so we can start looking at those books and start looking at the justification information.
Good.
So that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you. We don't have minutes this evening.
No, not this evening.
Consent agenda approval.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the September 9, 2024 consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have no requests this evening.
No.
Open to public input.
Joan Blackwood, I really appreciate your enthusiasm. However, it was the plan to have the swap shop open until the end of October. Without heat, without a second door, which is now required for Connexes, I don't see how we can get that approved for occupation or being used in time. And you just can't get volunteers. There were 2 deer volunteers that did it before, and they'd be there in snow and ice and everything else. I don't think you can get that now. And so, I mean, public funds could be raised if you think we could do that. I really do feel that 2005 warrant that talks about buildings and site improvements at the transfer station, you could use that money to fix up a Connex, but it wouldn't be ready to be used immediately. I appreciate that you could do getting the site prepared, but to have people there in the cold with no heat, no light, I don't see how that'll work. That's just my opinion at this point, but thanks for the energy and getting it going. I do think that the town is behind it. They are. And we don't even have the volunteers signed up yet because I was afraid we wouldn't get any volunteers if it was at the senior center because we didn't have a backup. If something went wrong and somebody wanted to dump a mattress and you told them they couldn't do it, you didn't have a backup. You couldn't say, oh, go see Scott, he'll take care of that. So I wish I could say we'd be ready, But I don't even think the Connex would be ready for this fall. So that's just my opinion at this time. And I don't know, I hate to delay anything, but it's got to be right. And that's just, one person's opinion. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
Kelly Sullivan. First, just want to thank you all for listening to just the townspeople. It's been probably a long 5 months of discussions, and it's greatly appreciated. I appreciate the meeting us with the Connex box. I don't think we really specifically were asking for something new per se. I think kind of without knowing what we could do with just coming back saying, no, we're in default budget, I think we were kind of left with our own devices. So we were just kind of looking into things. We don't necessarily need a brand new building. I think it would be nice to have one. I understand you want to meet us halfway. Maybe we could kind of door into the Connex. I don't know if that's possible. I don't see why not. And that would be a short answer. And even if we just man it through, like Joan said, I don't think we could get it up and running and staffed that quickly because I just think obviously it's been up in limbo and nobody knew. So even if we don't have it over the winter necessarily, like just to kind of meet everybody halfway, we would really like to see this work out. So I'm just trying to think of things that would work. I just want to commend the Conservation Committee as well for the work that they do on behalf of the town. I don't think they're probably like unsung heroes a little bit. That parcel that they're helping with the New Hampshire Trust for Alton Mountain up there, that's really important for the town, and that's a really great save of land. Also for that grant that they're applying for again for the Mill Pond area for the stormwater runoff. Mill Pond has been bad for quite a few years now. So if we can do anything to improve down there through grants, that's really great. So I appreciate that they continue to go after that. Coming into eventually, well, we're going to be in budget season, whether we meet or not. I just want to thank you all because I know you'll be pulling a lot of extra hours. And again, that's appreciated on behalf of the town. So thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren Carr. I'd also like to talk about that conservation. When I was on the board, there was a group that came in and wanted to donate land. And they were going to have the rights to cut timber off at any time they wanted. So it was kind of a win-win situation for them because they're not paying any taxes on the property. But then when the timbers comes, they take the timber off. So as was a 375 acres. What is the details about the timber when it is going to be cut off? Is the town of Alton going to get some of that timber from it? I mean, it's just, I wonder what is the percentage of land should we have in conservation? I mean, there must be kind of a number the state has that, is a good number, and then it becomes too much less taxes and less ability to build houses, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wonder, they just come in here and say, oh yeah, we want to buy this, but what are the details behind it? What they're buying and what is it doing for the town of Alton? I mean, it's nice to have the conservation land, but there is a point where it kind of goes the other way. So, and as I say, what's going to happen when the timber is harvested? Are we going to take any of that money, or is it all going to go to this other organization? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other input? Seeing none, we close the public input. Oh, do we have one more? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
Time's up.
Did not see you.
Sweatshirt. Good evening. I am still Donna Richardson as I was the last couple of meetings. Like so many others, thank you for taking this concept of the swap shop to another level and listening to what people have to say. I think that there's a pretty good call to arms, as it were, of getting the public out. You said, where are the other people? And here they are. So I think that's a wonderful thing. Regarding the swap shop, can there be some clarification on what the 6-month period will be that you put in the motion? I mean, 6 months is 6 months, but what's its start? What's its end? And the reason I ask for that is because I think we'll see a difference in how the swap shop is used if we only look at it during the summer or if we only look at it during the winter. I think we need to do a 3-month winter, 3-month summer. So whether that means we try and start in January and we go to June so that we see what comes when some of the summer people come, or we go February, et cetera. But I think that needs some clarification so we get a better view of what that impact to a town is going to be. I went with Kelly and Ken after the last meeting to set up the cones over at the senior center so that that would be identifiable. I'd like to request that the same be done up at the transfer station so that people have an idea what it is that went into that. And then my last thing that I would like to bring forward to the board this evening. We have, as I have learned, there are a lot of people who watch the video. And because the current setup of the room has the camera behind you, unless people know you individually, they don't know who's speaking. So if at some point, like when we step up, your names could be announced or told to the viewership, that would be good. The follow-up on that is when one wants to participate in some form of town government, it's very difficult to find out how to do it. I've gone to Stacy to ask questions. She gives me her best case answer, and many times that's accurate. But if I didn't know to go to her, where would I go? I would like to see that perhaps we have something created that can be put on the website, that if somebody wants to bring something to the board, how do they make that happen? If they want a comment on something, who do they send an email to? I've gone through our town site and I can't find anything. And now that we know we have this many people who are interested in certain things, I think we have to come up with a clear, concise set of guidelines on how to help them do that. And who knows, we might get crap and we might get some really good things out of it. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron?
Kelly Sullivan again. I'm sorry, just to follow up with what Donna said. How do people don't know how to get in touch with the board, town government. As somebody who sat in on her fair share of Board of Selectmen's meetings and planning meetings, I have witnessed firsthand a number of people that come to the meetings and they have no idea. Like they have no idea, they have the agenda, but I have directed them, this is when public input, just to kind of help them. Because even though it's, you can go to the Board of website, to the website for the town and get to the Board of Selectmen. For some reason, I kind of just, if you Facebook at all, sometimes people really need to be handheld. So even though it seems daunting to try to point them in a direction of how to get a hold of you, I do think it would be helpful, just as somebody who has sat in on her fair share of meetings and has witnessed that people just don't realize. So just to really give thought to what she had said, I just wanted to follow up on that. So thank you for hearing me again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jill Hauser, continuing the communication stream. Just a suggestion relative to the swap shop. Joan Blackwood has volunteered to help coordinate with volunteers. And I think we need one person in town government to kind of be the person to have the conversation about how many months the container might be up, how, what the timeline is, because we won't have any control over that. But we can certainly begin to get the volunteers vetted and waivers signed and organized. But it's going to be a different pool that would be willing to come in the winter unless you're going to let us have an open fire outside the box. So anyway, if you could consider who a point of contact might be, so we could just kind of continue this without having to wait for the meeting. Thank you
Thank
again
you.
for all your efforts.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll close to public input.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm sorry. If, Mr. Chairman, if I may, just to address 2 points that were brought up during public input for the general public to know. Ms. Richardson brought up the issue of the double view. And I just wanted to make everybody aware that we have purchased a new camera that is in the back of the room. And as soon as the setup is final, our videos will have a split view. So you can see the audience and you can see the board, because that question, that concern has been brought up in the past. Just wanted to bring people's attention to that. It isn't running yet, but we're waiting for a power source that's on its way. And the other thing I just wanted to add, to reassure people, and I do understand that there's probably people out there that are still a little confused at how to communicate, maybe with the board or whatnot. But I do just want to state that as of this morning, I think we received 36 emails about the swap shop. So there are plenty of people that found their way to be heard.
Able
So
to do it.
just so you know, they're all in the selectmen's inbox.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you very much.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye. No.
Yeah. Nick?
Oh, he was waiting for that one.
Said 7 o'clock. Right on. Did everybody sign this?
I think Andy's sixth.
Andy did.
Yeah.
Yes. Get ready to roll. It's gonna be 10-0 with 5 feet of snow on it. Well, I just found out. And if we wait until spring, we will have gone by the Rimmer article. Oh, yeah. Opportunity for the this is your.
Get that.
Yeah.
The grading in.
Yes.
Been some. On it set.